So thank you all for coming. We're going to start a little bit earlier because we've got some people, guest speakers today who've come a long way. Matt from Bangor, Colin on behalf of the council, the business support wing is from Carnarvon. So, you know, we'd like to start off a little bit sooner. We'll have Q&As straight after. Are you going to go straight after your session?
Yeah, I'm going to go, but I'll take questions.
Yeah, we'll have questions. Yeah. So Matt works with Gamlins, he's a solicitor. He's going to have a chat about ending employment. So basically going into sole trader. Yeah. And
well, not quite, but yeah, what I'm going to have a chat about is some of you will probably be employers and may be interested in legal obligations when you're coming to end someone's employment. That's what I'm going to have a chat about.
So contracts of employment.
Contracts of employment.
More than that. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll be in the hands of Matt. So thank you very much, Matt.
Thank you. Okay, I'm Matt. I'm a solicitor at Gamlins. I'm Mayor's colleague, and he's asked me to come here today to talk to you quite briefly about the basics of employment law. Now, one of the most common inquiries I get from clients and people asking for general guidance is how you go about ending in an employment contract. So if you have an employee, what you need to bear in mind when you're actually effectively dismissing that employee or bringing the employment contract to an end. Now, how many of you here employ people? Great, okay, that's going to be relevant to quite a few people then. All right, so if I've done a slide presentation. If anyone wants a copy of this, by the way, my email address, it's on the first slide, but there's cards there as well. So if you wanted to email me, I could send you a copy of this presentation by email afterwards, so you can have that to keep. Okay, any employee has a contract of employment. It doesn't have to be in writing necessarily, but it's always good practice to put the terms of employment in writing. But if you have an employee, then they're employed under a contract. Now, basically, to bring that contract to an end, you need to give the employee notice. Now, some of this might be quite basic for some people, but it's important to cover those basics. Now, the notice period you would need to give to an employee is generally what's set out in the employment contract, whether that's a month or a week. But if there isn't an employment contract, then the notice period is dictated by law. Now, that's 1 week for each year of continuous employment. You might have someone working for you. Now, also, if your employment contract is less than the legal minimum, that is also implied into the contract. So you need to have an eye on what the minimum notice period is you need to give an employee. Now, you've got to give that notice period under any circumstances apart from gross misconduct dismissal. Now, employees do have the right to receive a written statement of terms. That's covered on there. And a failure to do that can result in an award of 4 weeks' pay in an employment tribunal. Now that would be associated with some other claim, but it's very good practice to have a written employment contract in place for a number of reasons. And if you ended an employment contract without giving notice, then you're likely to receive a claim for breach of contract, generally for the notice period. So that's the first thing to be aware of, is the contractual obligations that you have as an employer to your employee. Now, as I put at the bottom of this slide, it also amounts to dismissal, of course, termination of employment, and that can give rise to claims of unfair dismissal. That's what I'll come on to next. Oh, so sorry, am I blocking that? Sorry. Okay, is that better? It's not that clear. It's a bit blurred, isn't it? That's the only. That's just right. Yeah. Is that all clear? Okay. Unfair dismissal. A dismissal would be unfair unless the employer can show that the reason for dismissal was a potentially fair reason. Now, there's 5 reasons. I'll come on to that in a moment. And the employer has to act reasonably. So that's getting the process right and having a substantive reason for doing what they're doing. Now, to put the 5 potentially fair reasons: capability, conduct, redundancy, statutory restriction, and some other substantial reasons. We really forget about the last 2 because they very, very rarely arise. The first 3 are the most common that people will be aware of: misconduct, someone's not capable, either they're not good enough at the role, and they can't be trained up, or sometimes through sickness, absence, that can be triggered, and redundancy, which is the obvious one if the job is redundant. Now, as I put there, to be a fair dismissal, you have to follow a fair process, and it's always worth looking at the ACAS code of conduct that sets out what you should do in those circumstances. And also, dismissal has to be a reasonable response to what's happened. So, for example, with misconduct, there could be other responses an employer could take. You could give a warning, for example, that's the common one, or a final warning, but it's not always dismissal, that's not always the reasonable response to what's happened. Next page. Okay, the ACAS code can be found at that link. Now, there's codes for various types of procedures that you're looking to follow. The most common one is the misconduct and poor performance. It's worth any employer just having a look at those policies and just making sure that either they have policies which comply with that, or adopt the ACAS procedure. Now, basically what that means is if you've had a misconduct issue, you have to investigate the issue, inform the employee in writing, invite them to a meeting, let them know about the right to be accompanied, and then explain to them the charge of the meeting, allow them to explain, and then write to them afterwards with your decision and give them the right to appeal. Now, that's in a nutshell. Obviously, there's a lot of steps you need to take to make sure that's a fair process. I've summarised it briefly on that slide. To avoid issues and resolve issues arising from less than 2 years continuous service, can't usually bring a claim on dismissal. It used to be 1 year, but it's going to be increased to 2. Now, that can include the notice period, so you need to be a bit careful with getting close to that period. And also, some claims for unfair dismissal don't require that length of service. I've given a link there which lists the exemptions. They're generally dismissals relating to disability, discrimination, for example, or any discriminatory matters. Also, whistleblowing is a common one where you don't need 2 years service. But there's a full list of them there, and it's worth looking at that. You don't need to give any reason for dismissal unless the employee has completed 2 years service. So if you ask for a reason, you don't need to give a written reason until that point either. But I would always say it's always worth obtaining some advice before taking that step, the dismissal step, because dealing with any problems arising can be very expensive. So that an employee is obliged to refer any dispute to ACAS, quarterly claim to the employment tribunal, and that would give an employer a means of resolving any dispute at that stage. And if that fails, then you always consider a settlement agreement. But the best thing is to make sure what you're doing in the first place is fair, so you don't have to face those issues. All right, well, that's my brief presentation, but I thought I'd take some questions. And that might be a use of the time.
You know, with working with non-time, yeah, if somebody see it, you see, you don't have to give them information to dismiss it.
Yes.
You don't have to go through anything to see it dismissed. Or you have to, is there some sort of rule formality you have to complete?
You have to give notice under the contract. So you would need to explain to the employee that you're ending their employment, and you would need to give them the contractual notice or what the statutory notice would be in those circumstances. And if you don't have an employment contract, you need to ask them to work that period of notice. You're not entitled just to make a payment in lieu of notice because there's no agreement. Unless that's contained in the employment contract, then you can make a payment in lieu. So, yeah, you would still have to actually have some sort of discussion with the employer. You would have to explain your ending the contract.
You wouldn't have to say why.
You know, you don't have to. The law says you don't have to give written reasons before 2 years. You may well be asked, and a lot of employers will decide that it's reasonable to explain why in those circumstances. Sometimes it may be in the best interest of the employee not to explain, because if it's a misconduct issue, some employees perhaps would rather go without being told, for example. And if they're looking for other work, perhaps they'd rather you just say, well, sorry, the contract came to an end, rather than they weren't performing well. So it's a way of managing it. You can give a reason, but there's no legal obligation at that stage. I suppose if they allege that you're doing something discriminatory, then you're probably well advised to give a reason to explain what you're doing isn't discriminatory. Yeah.
If you're only employing somebody, say, 4 hours a week,
the same applies.
All these things need to be.
Yeah, absolutely. After a period of 2 years, all the same things apply, but also the day one rights apply. So the right to have a written statement of terms and conditions, not to be discriminated against. All those other employment rights which kick in are the same for a part-time employee.
I'm interested in how many actually do have them.
In my experience, there are lots which don't.
I can't spoke to you and not a lot have.
It's best practice to have an employment contract in place, and you can get an award of 4 weeks' pay for an employee that doesn't have an employment contract. But also, lots of other problems can arise when you terminate that contract. You don't know what the notice period is. You have to look it up. You might get it wrong. So yeah, that's the reason to have a contract.
What happens if you sell your business off to someone else?
If you sell your business on to someone else, the buyer of the business, slightly outside the work I do, the buyer of the business will raise inquiries about what they're buying. You'll have to explain things like how many employees you have. You'll have to provide them with copies of employment contracts. And the seller of the business and the buyer of the business will reach an agreement as to who is liable for what. Now, all the employment contracts generally transfer to by law, they will transfer to the buyer. Sometimes the buyer will say, well, I want indemnities and warranties from you to cover any risks and liabilities. So if you say, well, I haven't given any of my staff employment contracts, the buyer will say, well, actually, I want a warranty for that. But if you say, well, everything's in order, they've all got contracts, then you're much more likely to get a sale through easily for selling your business because you can say, here are all the contracts, nothing outstanding.
Well, what I actually did is I actually gave my staff P45s and said they have to reapply for the person.
I see.
And it's just as well I did, because the new person has been using my PAYE code to pay the stuff and then not paid the inland revenue. And the only way I could prove that I finished was the fact that they had on record that I'd given all my stuff P45.
What you might find is if you've terminated the employment of staff, the liability from pay dismissal claims might rest with the seller. And what you'd want to do in the sale is ensure that liability is passed to the buyer. And so I would probably want to look at that situation, look at how, if you wanted to bring about an end to employment contract before selling the business, you need to look at how to do that in the sale. So
these are all staff that have worked for me.
I see. In that case, well, the problem is, and
that's why I didn't employ them.
But if you go back to that slide with the automatic unfair dismissal, dismissal connected with the transfer of undertaking is automatically unfair. You don't need 2 years service. So that could be, well, I'd have to look that up, but it is an automatic unfair dismissal. So whether it's the one you don't need 2 years service, I would have to check. You have to be quite careful in those circumstances. Where there's unusual circumstances, it's always worth taking legal advice.
But what I'm saying is, the Inland Revenue is chasing me for their PAYE,
right,
which hasn't been paid by the new employer who took the staff off. And the only way I could prove to the Inland Revenue that I had stopped employing those staff was the fact they had on record that they had P45s on the date I said.
I would have thought a business sale agreement would also show that the undertaking of transfer to a new owner.
They weren't interested in that because she'd been using my PAYE.
It's not something I'm familiar with. It might be more of an accounting issue, really. But generally, with a transfer of a business, you wouldn't dismiss all the employees first under most circumstances. Now, I don't know about the 2-year rule. I would have to look at once up to the specialist point. But in most business sales, employees will remain employed and they will simply transfer to the buyer.
I'm glad I did what I did, to be fair.
Okay.
Because I can prove that I don't owe the Inland Revenue thousands of pounds from someone else.
Okay.
You know what you think about this, though? Notice.
Sorry. Yes.
That only if you've got a consumer contract, not an actual contract.
No, it's either. If you've got an actual contract, that will say what your notice period is.
Yeah.
If you haven't got a contract in writing, then your notice period will be implied by law. So it will probably be 1 week. Well, it will be if it's less than 2 years.
Yeah.
It's a week for each year of employment. So between 1 and 2 years is 1 week. Sorry?
If you've been working for 50 years,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
And you want to be,
In that case, the statutory notice period is 12 weeks. It's a maximum of 12 weeks. That's 3 months. So if that person wanted to leave their employment, they wouldn't have to give 3 months. It's the notice period of an employer has to give an employee, dictated by law. So they would have to give 3 months notice to that employee to terminate the employment. So in a redundancy situation, that would be the notice period. That's relevant. But they could still reach an agreement between themselves to make a payment in lieu. Of course, yeah, best practice have a contract. Yeah. Well, what it actually is, a written statement of terms and conditions. It's called the Employment Rights Act, which you find out online as well. Actually, it sets out what you need to consider with the statements of terms. And like you say, it's the basic things like the pay, hours of work, holidays, terms like that. There are quite a few. There's about 15, I think. But I haven't got the full list in front of me. You can have a look on that act. And if you give all that information to an employee in a document, well, that complies with it. You can have other things in the contract as well if you want. There are options to have other things that might be favourable to an employer.
I know that Business Wales provide that form, typically have on the Bible that you can't give you a copy of the and Mae Matt provides as well. So I was going to say her name is Larry Dundee. That's brilliant. Yeah, she's fantastic. Yeah, really good. She's very helpful. Yeah.
Well, that's useful to know. It's always worthwhile having a contract for a service like that.
Yeah, they've got that height with again.
Yeah.
Make it for your client.
It's definitely happening. Any other questions?
Oh, thank you, Matt.
Thank you very much.
We've got some copies of the presentation here, have you?
I have, yeah.
With
I've
your
got my card there as well.
with your email and your phone number. So you're going to leave these here?
I can leave them there, that's
Yeah.
fine. And there's my card there as well. It's got the details.
And then they can contact you through Gamlins here as well, yeah?
They can, yeah, that's right.
Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed that.
Thank you very much.
Safe journey home.
Yeah, I've got to get back to Angus.
Next we've got Colin Jones from Gwyned Council. How many? Yeah.
There is Colin Jones. Yes, he's the parking manager for Gwyned, and that's anything to do with parking.
Sorry, Colin. Hold on. Right. Colin Morris. He deals with business support, and I'm fighting to say that I do deal a lot with him. Through the Gwyned Business Network as director of that, because the Gwyned Council financed the Gwyned Business Network. So I'm very grateful to Gwyned Council for that. And Colin and his team do lots to support the network. He's not here to talk about the parking and stuff. He's here to discuss what Gwyned can do to help the businesses. So, okay, and then if there's anything you want to ask questions later, fine. But anything with the parking and stuff, if you let us know who to contact, and we can pass that information over to that. So, thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, with the Colin goals.
So I don't have a PowerPoint, unfortunately. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation to come along this evening to give a brief presentation. As I mentioned, my name is Colin Morris. I'm the business support manager in the economy and community departments in Gwyned Council. I'm responsible for two different teams. One is the business support team, and the other is the business assets team. The business assets team, they deal with the letting and the management of our light industrial units, as well as our enterprise centres, which we have 3 of them. Two, well, one based in Park Menai, in Bangor, and Mentec, which is based in the centre of Bangor, and the Glanapod workshops, which are based up in Blaenau Ffestiniog. We have various light industrial units located throughout the county, down in Harlech, Llandegai, Kippin, Bethesda, and but unfortunately, since I think 2009 now, the decision that was made by the council, we have been selling off a lot of our industrial units because of the various reasons, really, because of the state of repairs and the units, as well as the financial situation as well. So if you do have any requirements regarding light industrial units to rent, or any office space that is required, then please do contact us on that side. The business support team, it is, I should have said, it is a small team that we have, and unfortunately it is getting smaller due to the savings and the financial cuts that the council has to undertake in the forthcoming years. The business support team, I say, it is a small team, and we are responsible for various business support initiatives that we have been operating in the past and to the future as well. One of the main grant schemes that we have had, and over the last 3 or 4, 5 years now, is the local investments scheme, which has been a grants package for local businesses. It has been financed by European Regional Development funds through the Welsh European Funding Office. But unfortunately, this fund now has come to an end very, very recently. But in the past, we have allocated over £1 million in the form of grants to businesses in the Gwyned area. And I'll just give you a few facts and figures. We have assisted 167 existing businesses to develop further. We've helped 46 new startup businesses to start, as well as 3 social enterprises. And as a result of the investments that we've made in the form of grants, over 212 new jobs have been created, as well as safeguarding over 400 jobs in the existing businesses. So as I say, we have invested. It was a 40% grant scheme, so there has been a significant private sector investments by local businesses in the area as well. But those figures were all of Gwyned as a whole. Specifically for Meirionnydd, we have approved grants of nearly £300,000 to businesses in the Meirionnydd area, and specifically for Dolgellau, that figure is very close to 50,000 in the form of grants over the last 3 or 4 years. And I can't go into any great details, but I am aware of 12 businesses that have grants approved under the local investment fund. Now then, unfortunately, we have been notified recently by the Welsh European Funding Office that business grants, the grants culture, if you like, is coming to an end. We have heard this in the past, but fortunately, the Welsh Government and the European Commission have made this decision that local authorities won't be in a position to apply for further European funding to establish a grants fund for local businesses, which personally is very disappointing for us, but it is disappointing for local businesses in the local economy as well, because as I say, grants have assisted businesses to grow and to start off, and it has given them, you know, well, some assistance to develop and to expand their businesses and to create and to safeguard jobs as well in the local area. So unfortunately, it is a period of uncertainty at the moment regarding grants, and will there be smaller grants from the local, from the Welsh Government or not? So as I say, it is a period of uncertainty on that side at the moment. Financial assistance that we can help businesses at the moment, there are a couple. For a number of years now, we have been operating a business loans fund. This was established, as I say, 3 or 4 years ago, as a result of the recession and the difficulty that businesses were getting in accessing finance from the banks. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but with there was a lot of feedback we were getting from businesses and businesses from certain sectors that the banks just could not lend any further money to those businesses. So as a result, the council, after various reports to the council board and the like, we established a £3 million fund for business loans. Now then, can I just explain that the £3 million that hasn't affected any capital or revenue budgets and the like. So it's there really, and we have used the council's cash flow to approve these loan applications. So we have approved and released, I think it's in the region of about 700,000 at the moment. We have received a number of inquiries, but I did think that maybe some of these more inquiries would have been converted into full loan applications, but for various reasons that hasn't been the case. We've received in the region of about 12 full loan applications. We've approved 7 of those. For various reasons, the other 5 have not been approved. So as I say, I'll leave all this literature on this table for you to have a look at. But as I say, there's further details of the loans fund here in this flyer. This information as well can be found on the council website, www.gwyned.gov.uk, under the business pages. It is a fund of last resort. We're not here to compete with the local high street banks at all. And one of the criteria is that we do have written evidence that the applicants have been to see their bank and Finance Wales as well, that they've been refused finance from those organisations. Now, there is, as I say, it is a commercial loans fund. There are 3 levels of interest that we do charge. and I am thankful that you are sitting down at the moment. The levels are 7%, 10% and 12.5%. But those are to reflect the risk that we might be taking with these specific applications. We do obviously ask for security as well in the form of personal guarantees or security over fixed assets as well. Another grants package that we do have at the moment as well, and I don't know if it's relevant to you, but again, we've been operating this for a couple of years now. It's a grants package to assist businesses to achieve ISO accreditation, which is coming more and more into the tendering process, if you like, especially with major capital schemes. We specifically can assist at the moment with the ISO 9001, which is the quality management system, as well as the ISO 14001, which is the environmental management systems. So it's a 75% grant scheme, as I say, to assist local businesses to achieve these accreditations, for them to become more competitive and to respond to the tender requirements that the council have, as well as other major public sector organisations. I say we've assisted in the region of about 25 businesses at the moment to achieve these accreditations, and you know, the feedback has been very good, because it has assisted them to tick the box where it asks on the tender, have you these accreditations, basically. It's the International Standards Organisation. There are many other accreditations out there for different sectors, such as food and the energy sector as well. And we will be doing a piece of work in scoping these other accreditations as well, because at the end, hand in hand with this is one of our strategic schemes as well, which is Cadw'r Bydd yn Lleol, keeping the benefits local, which is a priority for the council. And as I say, if we can spend more with local businesses which have achieved these accreditation, then it's a win-win for everybody at the end of the day. At the last, well, not the last financial year, but the one previous, we, as the council, spent in the region of 42% of our revenue budgets with local businesses, and that compared quite well with other local authorities throughout Wales. But obviously there's room for improvement, and that is one of our strategic aims for the future, to increase local spend with local businesses. So we have recently appointed an officer to work directly with businesses to raise opportunities, to raise their awareness of opportunities of contracts, not only from the council but other public sector organisations such as the Welsh Government, and as well private sector organisations as well. As you know, there's the proposal for Wylfa Newydd on Anglesey, as well as other energy schemes on the island, and it is known now as the Energy Island and the Sunny. So you know, there's lots of opportunities there. So if we can work with businesses now to get their accreditations, and to be ready to tender for that work, then, you know, now's the time to do that. I say, if there's any questions as I go on, you know, please shout out.
Can I ask one question? You keep on about local businesses. How much of that is retail? Or is it all manufacturing?
No, retail is in an important sector in Gwyned, certainly, and in the past we have had specific retail grants for businesses.
So how would they help retail businesses?
What, these two now, you mean? Well, maybe unfortunately, the ISO, as far as I'm aware, that wouldn't, to be honest with you. The loans fund, well, maybe. But as I say, it is a period of uncertainty with a lot of financial climates with the Council, European funding. One programme has come to an end. We are waiting for the start of the new programme. But as I say, the Welsh Government, as well as the European Commission, have said they don't see business grants as a priority. Their focus is more on repayable business finance, which is loans, in other words. But as I say, we have had town centre improvement grants for retail businesses, as well as specific retail grants to purchase equipment, as well as property improvements, as well as business retail reviews as well. But unfortunately, you know, that is coming to an end as well. It's not the best climate at the moment, I must admit. There's a lot, and I'm sure Christine would back me up, sort of thing. There's a lot of business support initiatives have come to an end recently in the form of grants, as well as training grants as well. We work very closely with Business Wales. It's a service through the Welsh Government that is run locally by Mentor and Business. They do have offices up in Bangor, but I do know of a business advisor, Helen Hughes, that's based down here in Dolgellau. I don't know if you're aware. Sorry, Gwyned from the new startup business as well, sort of thing. So we do advise any businesses to contact Business Wales for further guidance and advice, as well as contacting Gwyned for any new startup business as well. And we work very closely with these organisations, as well as the local colleges, Christine and her colleagues in Bangor from Colin as well. I'm sure you're aware, we do have an enterprise zone in Gwyned as well, which is based one in Cyfreithwyr and the Llanbedr airfield as well. We work closely, we're working closely with different organisations to develop those sites, which we hope will create more employment as well for local people. But obviously, you know, the decommissioning is taking place in Cyfreithwyr at the moment. But in Llanbedr, as I'm sure you're aware, that there are plans there for various aerospace ventures there, and I think it is on the shortlist for the government's spaceport, I think they call it. So we'll have to wait and see what position the Westminster government does on that score. I did mention as well the the Gwyned Business Network, which we again work very closely with. It is an organisation. Well, it is an organisation independent of the council. We do support it financially as well as administratively as well. So I would encourage any business to register on the website, because that is the way we liaise with local businesses through a weekly electronic newsletter. That newsletter does note all the relevant recent business news for the area, as well as any relevant business events which takes place in the area as well. So it is the main forum for us to consult with the business community, really, and that relationship is very important to us, and it is getting stronger and stronger as well. Say I can read various literature here. I know this goes back to the winter, but this gives some details on the Meirionydd employment plan, which the council has been leading on, and there are some interesting stories there. I have been informed that the summer newsletter is to be published very shortly. So again, maybe through Owen, I can provide a link where to find that. There is some information here as well on the previous rural development programme, which again has been running for the last 3 or 4 years, and the main outputs which has come out of the rural development plan. Does anybody have any questions? As I say, yeah, I'd be happy to take any questions, or if you want to refer any questions through online, then please do.
Also, there's through the Gwyned Business Network, you can ask a question and we will pass it on to the council to get
yeah, certainly, yeah.
That's a good point as well.
Yeah. But as I say, our main brief, for in the short term, as I say, is through some of these initiatives, is to assist businesses to become more competitive and to respond to the opportunities that arise. Like I said, for example, through the energy island, the developments there. Hopefully there'll be opportunities for local businesses with the Carnarvon with bypass, these major capital projects. We have to make the best of them and to benefit for them, and certainly if we can do that and to work with businesses to do that, then we're more than happy to do that.
Well, thank you very much, Colin. So if you want to ask, I guess you can do so now. If you want us to ask some questions to him, please do so through our business. Thank you very much. That's it. Home.
Okay, thank you.
Mae registration document yn ola. There. Ar y bwrdd yn ola? Ar y bwrdd yna. O'r eich yma. So, if anybody hasn't registered for, can you register? Can you register today? Just so let's see what we do here. Okay, then it's on the table here.
I'll leave them with this anyway.
Thanks, Colin.
I'm sure you can.
So Colin Morris, okay.
Not Colin Jones.
Nah, okay, Gamlins doing that. Thank you very much. We have a small business in Dolgellau,
and this one is Helen. Helen's got other talents as well, like most people. You don't want to go too deep, okay? But she also is involved with health and safety in the workplace. And she gives us a little taster session of how she can help us as business, well, I'm not business owner, but you as business owners, about health and safety workers. So, Helen, can I invite you to the front? Thank you much.
Hi, you probably all know me, I'm not really sure if you do also. But I have the sewing shop at the side of the torrent. I've been open about 4 months. So anything that needs stitches, I'm the master.
Oh,
I don't do this PC stuff. Right, first aid, health and safety in retail shops. If you're an employer, you have a legal duty to keep your staff safe. The best way to do this is to carry out a risk assessment in your shop. And when you're doing that, not only for your staff, but include members of the public who are going to enter your shop as well. If you can, walk around your shop with a customer's eyes, if you can let you borrow them, if you can me, and see what they might see. Get somebody else to help you with it, somebody who hasn't been there before, and see what they see. They might see a loose carpet tile or something that you weren't aware of, something like that. There are 3 main injuries caused in retail shops, or 3 main causes of injuries, I should say. One is slips and trips, one is manual handling, and the third one is, I can't remember, and the third one is falling from height. So, the slips and trips, if you've got a moppable floor, make sure you're mopping it with something that's suitable and doesn't make it even stickier. If during the rainy weather, which we're not going to have options on that one, obviously, if during the rainy weather the rain and mud gets traipsed into your shop, put a mat inside or outside to stop it being trapped onto your floor, making it stickier. If there are any stairs, make sure that they're cordoned off from the public if they're not got to be there with a sign and a chain. If it's for staff use only, make that known. Make sure that the stairways are well lit. And if they're outside stairways, make sure they're not covered in wet leaves and debris. Okay. And for manual handling, I suppose we all get deliveries to our shops and other establishments, and somebody has to lift them and take them to where they're going if the nice delivery man hasn't done it for you. So these can cause musculoskeletal disorders. So manual handling courses are always good, and I know you don't want to have to pay for that sort of thing. So let your staff know that there are easier ways of moving things. If they're moving them a great distance, or they're an awkward shape or whatever, give them a sack truck to do it with if it's feasible. If it's not, get 2 people to lift it and move it, or empty it from where it's placed and carry the smaller packages to where they've got to be. Now, if you've got to do a manual handling job with a large parcel or even a small one, you have to think of the word tile. Remember that. T is for the task, what you're doing, carrying it from A to B. I is for the individual. Are you capable of doing that task on your own, or do you need some help with it, teamwork? L is for the load itself. Is it weighted on one side? Is it just in shape? Have you got any sticky outfits that might catch on your clothing or anything else? And E is for the environment, which is where you're taking it from and to. So think about it. Is the floor slipping? Have you got to go up and down stairs with the load? Is it a big side wind that's going to come and blow you off your feet suddenly? think about where you're taking it to and from. So try and remember tile when you're doing manual handling. The third one, falling from height. Personally, I don't have this problem. I've never reached height in my life. If you have to work up ladders to get things off your shelves or put them on the shelves, whatever, you should always have 3 points of contact. So that's 2 feet on the ladder, 1 to hold on, and 1 to get down whatever you're getting down. If the ladders stop short of the top of your storage area, have one of those extra ladders that have the handle on, like a big stick really, to make things safer for you and your staff. Carry out a risk assessment on your shop. Note the hazards and what the risks may be from those hazards. See what's already in place to stop the hazards causing harm, and see what else you can do that is reasonably practicable. The HSE doesn't expect you to spend loads and loads of money doing these things if it's not going to make much of a difference to your safety. But we all have a duty to keep ourselves and our work colleagues safe and members of the public. Okay, so there are a couple of legal requirements that you do have to do. First aid, you must have a first aid kit which is adequate and appropriate to your needs. So you do a first aid assessment, see who's working there, what could possibly happen, what might you need to deal with it immediately. If you're a sole trader or a lone worker, you've still got to have a first aid kit to be able to deal with anything that might happen to you. Because I'm working with sewing machines, I've got something like 4 million factors in my first aid kit, because I'm going to stick pins in myself all the time and sew through my hand and what have you. So I've got that sort of thing. You must also have an accident book, because all accidents by law must be recorded in the accident book. Say the worst thing happens. Say somebody trips up in your shop, bruises the leg, the next day the leg falls off. They can't claim against you because it hasn't been put in the accident book. It's a legal requirement to put it in the accident book. Okay, it's all got to be recorded, no matter how minor. Another legal requirement is that every 5 years you have to have your main circuit tested and have that certificate to show to the HSE to come round and have a look. I didn't know that. Okay. You have to do some shop. Portable electric equipment. Belt and braces is to pat test tools. There is actually no legal requirement for pat testing, but it is belt and braces. And by pat testing the equipment, you are doing more than the basic set down by the HSE. So they're lovely for that. Pat testing, portable appliance testing, and basically somebody comes around a little meter, plugs in all your machines, well, one machine at a time, anything that's not fixed, and make sure that it's got the right drive screws in it, that the wiring is all okay, no burn marks, a little bit on it and figure out CD problems. It depends who you get to do it, how much you're paying. Okay. Well, like I said, with the belt and braces, take your book and legal review. Okay. So, everybody down to the chemistry first aid kit.
I got mine online. £9.99. It's exceptionally comprehensive. Absolutely. It came within
Is it sufficient enough to
Oh yes, it actually.
tick that box in? And that's it. Look after yourself, your staff, members of the public, have a look around the shop, see what the body is. And so we can straight to prevention fire. Oh, sorry, fire.
Yeah, fire.
Yeah. Extinguisher. Thank you. Yeah. Yes. Do a fire risk assessment. See if you've got anything that could start a fire, where a fire could start. Make sure that everybody can get out of the premises. And have fire extinguishers which you protect every year in fire. And make sure you've got the right one for the job. The only fire extinguisher that will put out any type of fire at all is a dry powder one. That works for absolutely everything.
Fire alarm system.
If you've got a fire alarm, yes. Weekly. And keep the record.
Say where you're supposed to meet it.
Yeah. If you've got emergency lighting, they have to be tested weekly. Make sure they're working. Yeah.
Also say here, as I've discovered, it's now all the onus is on the business person to do a fire risk assessment. There is again, it's a very sort of grey area. I don't think there's a legal requirement to do one, but if something happens and you haven't done one, you can get really severely clobbered for it. So it's as well to do one and then show that you're okay.
Requirement for fire risk assessment.
I was going to say, I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, there is. Okay. Any questions?
What I would add with your weekly test with your customer's eyes, what we do in the bank is use the customer's eyes on how the actual shop looks. So do your test of, is this how I want to present my shop? Is there something that looks so is there something that looks old? Is there something that is needing? Whatever. You know, you've got to think of how you, if you were a customer who came in, is it presentable? Is it what I want to portray? You've got another person here, because he's not going to do a presentation this time, is Christine from Colin there is actually courses for manual handling through the bottle.
No, basically my role is business advisor for Gwyned and I'm part of the Colin and Colin. We have recently launched the new service for businesses called Business App. So basically a one-stop shop for businesses to find out any information regarding training from apprenticeships to short courses. So we offer in Dolgellau, we offer various courses, short courses from health and safety, food safety, first aid, personal license, social media as well. We will be having a new program that's coming out in September. We'll be offering social media courses for beginners and intermediate level as well. So really, if there's any any training that you're looking for yourself or for your employees to bring your own, I can also help you find if you can actually support the training as well. Currently, it's very non-existent, like Colin mentioned earlier, but we are hoping there's going to be some new schemes next year, so hopefully taking over what was previously as a model program, so we'll be further away. But yeah, it's just to get in touch with me if anything you're looking for training.
Thank you, Christine. Right, thank you very much to the Sospan. We'll go say thank you for letting us be here. Next week we're in Powell. Next month even. Just testing you still wait because you go like this. So looking forward to that. If you've got any ideas of presenters or what you'd like to learn, please email us. And if you are able to arrange somebody to come and talk to present, even better. There's only certain amounts of things we can do because we do it in our own time as well. I think I know next month Peter's going to definitely do a talk about auto enrolments and pensions. Anything else, Eric? Yeah. So, you know, give us some ideas of what you'd like to know. I'm quite happy to do one on banking if you tell me what you want me to discuss. We've had a really good presentation on different things this evening from Colin, from Matt, from Helen, a little bit from Christine. We can only get this to work if we all contribute, if we all work together, and that what we want to hear is being relayed to us. So if we're saying something that is no relevance to you, you're not going to come again, are you? Because we want this to develop. It's your network, and it's important that you tell us if there's something more suitable. Please tell us. So we're going to have a just network between you now for about 10-15 minutes, and talk to each other. Make this our network. Thank you very much.